This is a Fox 5 and Hot 97 special edition of Street Soldiers, 50 Years of Hip Hop with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining me for this episode of Street Soldiers on a big concert celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. This is a milestone moment for the hip hop culture, and there's no better way to celebrate it than with a massive concert at Yankee Stadium, right in the Bronx, where it all began. Featured performers at the Yankee Stadium extravaganza on the actual birthday of hip-hop on August 11th include the Trailblazers' Run DMC. Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube are repping for the West Coast, with Atlanta's own Lil Wayne showing up for the South. Legendary DJ and Grammy Award-winning producer Marley Marl is tight-lipped about his set, but says he'll be bringing some surprise guests to the stage and promises they'll put hip-hop fans in a frenzy.
I'm looking for that roar of the crowd. You know, that's what we strive for. We make the crowd roar, so that's what we gonna do. That's what it is.
Months of planning went into making the Yankee Stadium concert a reality. Some of the proceeds will benefit the Universal Hip Hop Museum. It's a labor of love for former Bronx Borough president and board member Ruben Diaz Jr. He brought in hip hop stars and prominent elected officials with local and federal funding to ensure the museum's long-term viability. He says it will be a reminder to the world that this growing international culture was born in some of the most underserved neighborhoods in the United States.
This year is the 50th anniversary. What the museum allows us to do is to continue to tell the narrative, the story of hip hop in perpetuity. And it's going to have an education component. We're going to celebrate the elements of hip hop. It's going to be a global destination.
AllHipHop.com CEO Chuck Creekmur says the many events marking the 50th anniversary of hip hop provide a chance to look back as well as find new ways to push the culture forward.
For me, that means seizing power, you know, and really controlling our own stories, our own narratives, and making things more equitable.
New York legends like DJ Kool Herc and the Bronx's own Fat Joe will wow the hometown crowd. There's a Queens of Hip Hop set featuring Lil' Kim as well as Remy Ma and other female greats. DJ Marley Marl tells me women are bringing hip hop into the future.
I'm looking at these females doing their thing in hip hop, basically, you know, showing other females that you can make it in this game because it's been male dominated for years.
Let's find out more about what's going on with our panel. Joining us is DJ Marley Marl. He is a legendary DJ. Everybody knows him. He's a Grammy award-winning producer. He will be on that Yankee Stadium stage. Marley, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it. Also with us is Ruben Diaz Jr. He's a board member of the Hip Hop Museum. He's also the former Bronx Borough president. He has been one of the driving forces in getting this all recognized, getting hip hop recognized. He and I go way back on Street Soldiers to when he was a New York State Assemblyman. I call him the Hip Hop Assemblyman. And he stood with the culture from the very beginning, even though a lot of people told him it would hurt his political career, and look where he is today. So he's done a lot of groundwork to get everything to where it is right now. Ruben, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
We appreciate it. Also with us, Chuck Creekmur. He's a CEO and co-founder of AllHipHop.com. He's been at the concerts, behind the scenes, reporting on them, covering hip hop for years. And we're going to get his take on everything that's happening right now. Chuck, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Marley, I want to start with you on this because we've talked a lot about this and it's so exciting. How are you feeling about the Yankee Stadium stage?
It's going to be crazy that night because you have to think that's the day hip hop was born. That's hip hop's birthday. So it's, you know, the energy, the synergy that's going to be in the building, incredible. You got Run DMC, got Salt and Pepper, you got, it's just the lineups are ridiculous. But when I hit that stage and we do that tribute, it's going to be crazy.
I'm pretty sure nobody will be sitting down. Anybody that has a seat is not going to be sitting down.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, and just think about it, like hip hop is 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? This is an incredible time right now for hip hop. It's like the golden era of hip hop right now, the golden age, actually. And, you know, that's crazy. I mean, I didn't think it was going to get this far. I'm the first one to say it, that, when I first heard the first hip hop records, I was like, that's not what I fell in love with the tapes. Like, the scratching wasn't there, the echoes wasn't there, the break beats wasn't there. But as time went on, we started sampling, we started making the genre, they started making money, they got rid of the bands and started sampling, and it became crazy. It just became crazy. Just to see where it's at now, I travel the world off hip hop. There's places that I'm sitting around like, wow, I'm here because of hip hop. If it wasn't for hip hop, I wouldn't be there. So this is incredible how the world accepted it.
Yeah, now it's truly global, truly global, for sure. Ruben, in terms of getting the recognition, how do you feel about where things are today?
Well, first of all, let me just say, talk about sitting somewhere and saying, wow, I'm here saying, wow, I'm on the same interview with Marley Marl. And for those of us who grew up in the 80s, when we saw that there was a transition between sampling initially to having your own beats, and Marley Marl came with all of the keyboards when he did My Melody with Rakim, and he did the Juice Crew All-Stars. So I just want to thank you for having me here. Look, that night is going to be incredible. That whole day, Lisa, is going to be incredible. Why? Because even before the actual concert at Yankee Stadium, during the day at Mill Pond Park, over there on Exterior Street in the Bronx, we're going to have a free block party. So we invite everybody. We're going to have, Chuck D. We're going to have so many of the pioneers out there. There's going to be food. There's going to be music. There's even going to be like a b-boy breakdancing battle out there. And what the big announcement is going to be is on the Hip Hop Museum, which I'm a board member of, and it opens up later in 2024. What we're going to do on that day is that we're going to unveil some of the images of our pioneers on the window of the Hip Hop Museum. And so we invite everyone. It's a great celebration, great recognition. And I'm happy to say that part of the proceeds of the concert are going to go to operating the Hip Hop Museum. And so for that, we want to thank Mass Appeal. We want to thank Live Nation. We want to thank, everybody involved. So buy a ticket.
That is fantastic. Chuck, what do you think? I mean, we've had a lot of conversations, over recent years too, like about the direction of hip hop, about what's happening. How do you feel about the way this whole year and especially the pioneers and the ones that have gone through every era like Marley how the impact?
I think it's wonderful, and I love this block party because it also highlights a lot of the folks we don't see as much, like the Skinny Boys or Rockmaster Scott and the Fearless Four and all those, those people that we haven't seen as much. And that's what I'm excited about. But overall, I think we're doing a great job this year. Hip hop has so much to offer. And I understand that some of the corporations are now, having a say-so in what's being projected. But what I want people to understand is that the culture is so rich and it's so deep, and there's so many artists that don't get name-checked. And I think we have to dig really deep and deeper and continue to explore what hip-hop has to offer, not only 50 years ago, but now in the present day.
Don't go away. We'll be right back. When you look at the so-called hip hop generation gap, people talk about the old school, the new school. There's a buzz now about, okay, people are not accepting these up and coming artists because they want to dominate. What do you think about that? Is this just like an internet thing, or, something going on in the comments section, or is this real?
I think that's a lot of comments in the comments section, because I see, a lot of the older artists, they do accept the younger artists, and, they send it, give the jewels too. We got a lot of jewels. We've been through a lot, publishing, masters and everything. So we've been there, and, we could show you what to look for, So I think that there's a lot of people that's not really in the industry, because I see my industry cats, they accepting everybody.
At least I also think that that's a lot of, industry chatter, because when you look at, obviously hip hop, like I said, is a bridge to so many different divides, and it's got to be a bridge for a generational divide. Like, we are parents now. you know, those of us who grew up with hip hop, we have adult children, we are grandparents. So you know, my sons who are grown men now, but they know all of the words to, like, you know, Slick Rick songs and Dougie Fresh. And if it wasn't for them, like, I wouldn't know, you know, what Drake was putting out at the time, or, you know, what A Boogie has put out. And so this stage now, what we're trying to do is the impossible, right? It's going to be an amazing night. We're trying to condense 50 years of a narrative into, you know, one night. If whoever doesn't make this one, you're playing yourself, first of all. And for me, like, if you look at Run DMC, my first record, I was 10 years old. I bought Rockbox. You know, my name is Joseph Simmons, but my middle name is Lord. When I'm rocking on the mic, you should all applaud because we're willing, dealing. We got a funny feeling. You know, that's the way we feel. It's made us feel a certain way. We have memories. And so that's what's happening now with our young folks. They understand that they stand on the shoulders of people who've allowed them to make a lot of money today, and the older generation understands that, like everything else, you know, times have changed. The way the streaming goes, the internet, social media. And so, you know, we just should not let outside forces dictate our narrative. And this is what this year is all about, bringing it all together so that we can celebrate hip hop from the beginning until now, the same way that rock and roll does it, the same way that country music does it. That's what I'm hoping comes out of this 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Chuck, what about the opportunities that exist now for artists, you know, to have different types of income coming in and really make it a viable career? How do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, these kids are getting paid, you know what I mean? A lot of kids are, you know, really just leaving or not even entering the industry so much, and they're just doing it on their own. You know, there's so many opportunities for show money. You know, streaming money is cool, but really streaming is just a marketing to upsell somebody to a show or merch, or, you know, even social media can get you paid at this point. So there are a lot of different avenues for kids to get paid, and, you know, making a living out of hip hop is not hard anymore. It's not as hard, I should say. It's not as hard. And I think that the global aspect of hip hop now with the internet, it makes that possible. Whereby back in the day, you had to really work your local, you know, your local block or whatever, your local market, and then spread to the next closest market and go from there and hope you get a deal or hope you meet EPMD or someone that can put you on.
And then you could go from there, Lisa, you could go from there and do so many other things. I mean, look what 50 Cent has done with the whole Power series. Look at Fat Joe being an entrepreneur. I don't have to tell you about Jay-Z and Diddy, right? You know, so when you look at what other folks have been able to do around clothing, around perfumes, around, you know, just setting up a separate business. I think a lot of the young folks now are starting to realize that, yes, you can do music, but music is just the beginning of opening up even more opportunities, not only for themselves, but for their family members and for their community.
Let's talk about Fat Joe for a minute, product of the South Bronx. He's going to be on that Yankee Stadium stage. He's really, he's done a lot in terms of the community all throughout his career, and remained extremely relevant to things that were going, you know, that are going on the streets. I mean, he came with me to Rikers Island to do a Street Soldiers episode there for the detainees and the correction officers. But what about that in terms of, Chuck, how we view artists now too? Because there are some, well, there's a good number of them that have remained very relevant and very active at kind of like every stage of their career.
Yeah, I mean, now we're looking at artists, we're older now, so we're looking at artists in a different light. You know, the days of sort of Al Sharpton and Reverend Jesse Jackson are, I'm not saying they're gone, but they're, you know, Reverend Jesse Jackson literally just retired. So we're seeing our artists grow, mature, soak up the game, soak up the politics, and now they're, you know, evolving into leaders and people who we listen to what they have to say. And I think that's the logical way to move as a career. And it's also a position of leadership, which, you know, I think is lacking a little bit in our communities. So we need those people to work with community leaders, boots on the ground, and really make change in our communities.
Ruben, when you look at that lineup of who's coming to Yankee Stadium, I don't want to put you on the spot about singling out some of your favorites, but what are you looking forward to the most? First of all, the energy is going to be unbelievable. That's number one, right?
It's going to be historic. So I already talked about, buying my first record, Run DMC Rock Box. We got Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne, Wiz Khalifa, Ice Cube, Fat Joe, Remy Ma, A Boogie, Eve, Little Kim, Trina, T.I., Cameron, Common, EPMD, Ghostface, Lupe Fiasco, Slick Rick, DJ Kool Herc, the father of hip hop, is going to be there. You got Marley Marl, you got so many different people, and that's just the beginning. Like, this is just going to be a fantastic celebration of this genre who has informed so many of us over 5 decades and will continue to take over the planet.
Marley, tell us about your DJ and a whole setup there. Can you give us a little bit of a preview of that?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get up there. We're gonna do a Mr. Magic tribute, since he's like one of the fathers of radio and hip hop, and we're gonna do a Bismarck tribute. TJ Swan's gonna come out with me, so it's gonna be crazy. You know, TJ Swan used to sing on all the Bismarck records. Nobody's seen him since everything happened, so he'll definitely hit that stage. It's gonna be crazy.
Marley, when you look at where hip hop is now, what do you think about, like, okay, the next 50 years? I mean, what do you see as some of the big trends that are just kind of now germinating?
I'm definitely looking at the females, because that's dope. I like how the females are coming up in hip hop and kind of taking over, because, the guys is talking, they yapping, but the girls is, they dancing, and, it's kind of sexy to look at. And, they definitely doing their thing.
The whole female thing, I think, has been so empowering for girls and for women, because it's showing you can still be feminine, you can still look feminine if you want to, but you can still get out there and show what you've got, your skills, your dancing, all of these types of things in like a full dimension. Chuck, what about that in terms of the new frontiers that we're seeing for hip hop?
I mean, I definitely feel like we're at a crossroads, absolutely, like at a really pivotal moment for the culture. And I've definitely been totally focused on the next 50 years. I think it's not more important than the last 50, obviously, but it is critical that we just take control of our culture. And we're in positions of power now. We have political connects, we have corporate connects, government connects, we have all types of connections, and we have the streets, obviously.
Hip hop is the biggest bridge to so many different divides in our society. It's the reason why a white girl from Florida can identify with a black boy from Flatbush. And think about the evolution throughout the years. It's bridged the divide on race, right? Initially, it was Black and Puerto Ricans, and now the Latino race is such a big umbrella. But if you go to Japan, Germany, this is global. And even geographically, it's a bridge. It's a bridge among economic status. Billionaires listen to hip hop, and so do people who don't have many means. And look at how it's even involved with the LGBT plus community. You've gotten places where folks are now authors, like Fat Joe and Chuck D. Even Slick Rick has done a children's book with his children's story. So it's fed so many families throughout 50 years. And then for someone like me, who's a recovering politician, right? It informed me on my borough. It informed me of, KRS-One, when he did, the South Bronx, he made me feel proud of where I'm from, even though other people looked at us in a negative light. So it gave me that swag, it gave me that confidence, and it gave me that sense of pride to not only say that I'm from the Bronx, but also want to make where I come from a whole lot better. And now I'm 50 years old, just like hip hop.
And then Marley, I want to close with you, because you're the one here that's going to be on that Yankee Stadium stage. Do you have a little thing you can share with us, like a secret Marley Marl good luck thing that you do before you go out, when you're going to be looking at like over 50,000 people?
Yeah. What I usually do, to be honest, every morning I wake up, I thank God that I woke up, because, I went through my heart attack a few years ago, fully healthy now, off the meds.
All right.
Out for me. I just thank God every morning I wake up for life, and, for my accomplishments, and then I start my day. And that's what I do before I do a show too. I always just thank God for the privilege of being there. That's real.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on the Hip Hop 50 live concert. You can watch it again and share it on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.